Hey there. If you're an exhausted parent watching this right now, I just want to start by validating exactly how you feel. Modern parenting, it comes with an overwhelming amount of information, a constant stream of unsolicited advice, and frankly, an exhausting amount of guilt. We're constantly questioning our choices, wondering if we're doing right by our kids. Well, in this explainer, we're going to look closely at one specific topic that brings out some of the most intense parental anxiety out there, and we'll lay out the facts to give you some well-deserved peace of mind.
Every single generation has those hot-button parenting topics they absolutely love to argue about. We constantly debate the right amount of screen time, the dangers of sugar, the ethics of sleep training. But for decades, one topic has caused this almost unique level of panic, endless guilt, and fierce debate: diapers. If you listen to the noise out there, you might hear that diapers supposedly overheat babies, delay potty training, cause infertility, destroy the skin, and somehow just ruin children forever. Meanwhile, parents are literally just trying to survive the day.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The historical burden. 2. Myth versus reality regarding safety. 3. Myth versus reality regarding milestones. And 4. Tools for sanity.
Section 1. The historical burden. To truly understand the modern diaper and why the conversation around it gets so intense, we first have to take a step back and look at what parenting was actually like before they existed. Now, a baby can absolutely grow up without disposable diapers. Humanity survived for thousands of years without them, right? But modern parenting without them, that is a completely different story. Before disposables became common, the sheer manual labor parents endured was staggering. Think about it. Parents were trapped in this exhausting, never-ending loop. You had to constantly check if the baby was wet. If they were, you rushed home, changed soaked clothes, hand-washed fabric diapers, dried them, cleaned soiled mattresses, and then you had to repeat the entire process all over again. It consumed an enormous amount of time and physical energy. You can really feel the exhaustion in this quote. Going outside with a baby in winter was practically a military operation. You literally had to plan entire days around the inevitability of accidents. Disposable diapers didn't just change hygiene, they completely revolutionized the quality of life for parents, especially mothers who traditionally bore the brunt of this labor. It gave them the freedom to actually leave the house without fear.
Section 2. Myth versus reality. Safety. Now, despite this massive improvement in quality of life, diapers are still surrounded by intense, visceral fears. Let's tackle those physical safety concerns head-on.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how common it is to fear that babies are trapped inside something hot and airless, kind of like a tiny sauna. But here is the reality we found. A diaper covers only a small portion of the body. Modern diapers are specifically engineered to absorb moisture instantly, which drastically reduces the amount of skin contact with urine. The true regulator of a child's body temperature isn't the diaper, it's the environment. If a room is hot, dry, and poorly ventilated, the child is going to overheat regardless of what they're wearing. But if the air is cool and comfortable, a baby tolerates a diaper perfectly well.
And then there's this incredibly persistent myth that diapers are somehow dangerous for boys, specifically that the temperature inside a diaper affects future fertility. Let's look at the science here. There is simply no convincing medical evidence that normal diaper use causes infertility. While the temperature inside a diaper might be slightly higher, the human body is far from defenseless. Human anatomy already protects reproductive organs with multiple robust layers of tissue and its own internal temperature regulation mechanisms.
Honestly, think about it. If a little bit of warmth alone was enough to permanently destroy human fertility, guys would have stopped taking hot showers decades ago. We really have to recognize that most of these intense physical fears surrounding diapers come from a place of deep parental anxiety, not from actual scientific evidence.
Section 3. Myth versus reality, milestones. Beyond physical safety, there's another massive source of guilt for parents: the heavy societal pressure surrounding early development and milestones. If you're parenting a toddler right now, you have likely heard a well-meaning relative or maybe a stranger at the park ask this dreaded question with just a hint of judgment. Wait, your child still wears diapers? Instantly, that question creates enormous stress. It frames potty training as some sort of competition, implying that a good parent gets their child out of diapers as fast as humanly possible. And if your child isn't there yet, well, you're somehow failing.
So, the crucial point is, biology is absolutely not a competition. Children develop bladder and bowel control only when their brain is neurologically ready to do so. You just cannot rush biology. For the vast majority of children, this reliable control naturally develops somewhere around 2 to 3 years old. That is the baseline, and it's perfectly normal.
Trying to force potty training too early, say at 6 months, often just creates massive frustration for both the child and the parent. You might end up struggling for 2 whole years. Meanwhile, parents who wait until the child is biologically ready often finish the process in a matter of weeks. The timeline is not a measure of your success as a parent, and I promise you, healthy children do not go to college in diapers. They'll figure it out when they're ready.
And what about diaper rash? A lot of parents feel guilty, thinking a rash means the very concept of diapers is bad. Not necessarily. The reality is far more nuanced. Rashes are often caused by heat, sweating, dry indoor air, infrequent changing, or just plain skin sensitivity. And yes, the quality of the diaper matters. The chemistry and engineering behind absorbent materials are actually surprisingly complex and fascinating, and cheap diapers perform very differently than premium ones. But blaming every single rash solely on the concept of diapers? That's a massive oversimplification.
Section 4. Tools for Sanity. Let's move to our final section and see how this builds into what I think is the absolutely most important emotional truth of this entire explainer. We need to completely reframe how we view this everyday item.
Here is the uncomfortable truth that almost nobody talks about openly. Disposable diapers are not primarily for babies. They're for parents. They are a modern tool that gives parents time, mobility, critical hours of sleep, daily flexibility, and overall mental sanity. And that matters immensely. Because an exhausted, perpetually overwhelmed parent is not a healthier parent. A calm, rested parent is far more important for child's well-being than adhering to endless, exhausting, perfect parenting rituals.
And this brilliantly illustrates the whole point. When you look at it this way, it completely changes where diapers belong in human history. Parenting is already hard enough. Modern civilization created tools specifically to make our daily lives easier and more manageable. We don't feel guilty about using washing machines, dishwashers, vacuum cleaners, cars, or smartphones, right? Diapers belong directly on that exact same list of essential modern tools. Using them doesn't make you a lazy parent, it simply makes your life manageable.
At the end of the day, your goal is not to raise a child exactly the way previous generations did, suffering through the exact same exhausting manual labor they had to endure. Your goal is to raise a healthy child in a healthy family environment, without unnecessary guilt, without panic, and absolutely without the constant judgment from strangers. Using a diaper is not a symbol of bad parenting. It's a tool to make early parenthood less exhausting, which is a massive achievement in itself.
So, I want to leave you with this thought to ponder today. If we can let go of the guilt surrounding diapers and recognize them for the sanity-saving utility they actually are, what other modern tools should we stop feeling guilty about using to make parenthood just a little less exhausting? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Take a deep breath and remember, you're doing a great job.